The signs have been accumulating. The reality of the situation has not been lost on those of us who know how to look, who know how to see. We, the traditions. It has been hundreds of years or more since this has happened. A joint campaign, a gathering, a crusade in miniature. And now, I am proud, very proud, to present the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. But what is it? Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring and creative classes for anyone who loves learning. Invest in yourself and your personal growth is their byline, and it's absolutely true. The most important investment you can ever make is in yourself. Now, I have done just one of these courses, being Productivity for Creatives, Building a System that Brings Out Your Best by Thomas Frank, and I cannot wait to start using the tips and tricks therein contained. You can see the site on the screen, but its beauty is in its simplicity and accessibility. The courses are wonderfully marked, with timestamps for topics and subtopics in the video, so you can rewatch what you need when you need. It has a vast array of subjects, and they are presented in an easily consumed and fun way, which is very difficult to do, trust me. So if you find you need to improve in something so you can make a dream into reality, then follow the links in the description and pinned comment, and you too can benefit from this veritable cornucopia of wisdom. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will gain a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. Your learning journey, as they say, awaits you. And with a thriving community of like-minded people, you never know. You may just meet new lifelong friends on the journey. So hit the links and prepare for enlightenment. Happy learning, brothers and sisters. Happy learning. We, the Inquisitors of the traditions, the names. We try not to gather more than a pair of us at any time. We can never be sure the other has not been corrupted, has not been turned. But this is different. I didn't call this one, but I could not miss it. The author of the summons is beyond reproach. I've seen him recently, and I know him well. We all do. He's even more popular than we are. Saulot, and we all know why he has called us. The only reason that he would do so. He has found him. Long have we hunted, but none more ferociously or as diligently as Saulot. And it's going to take more than a pair of us to do this, even the best of us. So we gather at his behest, knowing what he will tell us. We gather to hunt down a bastard that has eluded us for 7,000 years. It's finally time. Finally. Time for some revenge. I'm looking forward to this. The enemy. Humans. He has slain more of us than starvation, some say. Inquisitors. He has slain more of us than any demon prince. And the traditions. He has ended 7 of the lines. But this will be the hardest thing we've ever done, any of us. So force majeure may not be enough. But majeure or not, I am gathering my forces. Those I bring to this life, not entrusted only to the next. To the hundreds. I rarely keep my own tally, my own bonds. So I call them. I call them all. As the days go by, they will arrive. Not here, of course. Somewhere safe. And as I mobilize, so will the others. Each of us will bring different strengths, different resources. The accumulated might will be noticed, of course, but not before we are on our way. And from then on, there can be no turning back. No mercy, no remorse, no weakness of any form. If we slip, even one of us, then we will drag down all around us. For that is what he does. He destroys everything he comes into contact with. Twists and hews it, leaves it drained of all worth, replaced with a thing of horror. At last, we can end this tyranny at long last. But I must have the one. All hinges on him. It is time to go to war. We will need him. The hundreds will need him. For afterwards. But how do I get him? But where was I? I'm jumping ahead, I know I am. Oh yes, that firefight. Nasty business. Now, where were we? The situation is getting a bit dire, if I'm honest. Not my ideal outcome. Barbon, my most trusted aide, a space marine, and not just any space marine, is smashing as many of them as possible, which is quite a few, I can tell you. As expected, he is a son of Rogel Dawn, after all. But there are many. The large Jacaro on his back is making the situation a little easier, but it's obvious to me that I should have picked up Louis earlier. Much earlier. They are not gelling as they once did. The proof of this comes almost poetically into play as the scions assailing us attempt to outflank and surround Barbon and Louis. Fire is now coming at them from 3 cardinal points, and even Barbon is not infallible. He's lit up again by a concentrated, coordinated pattern from half a dozen of the scions or more. They're hotshot lasguns in the hands of experts. They tag him more than once. Damn. Now Louis' shielding is able to block most of it, but not all. I hear a loud, disgruntled ape-like scream as Louis' shielding goes down under a deluge of fire, and one shot hits his left leg. Barbon would not let him get hit, despite how he feels about the Xenos. He's permitted him onto his back, so it wasn't him being difficult. Also, I have asked it, so Barbon will do his best. He always does. No matter how unpalatable the operation I give him. He'd tear a strip off me in private later, but he always does what he is ordered to do. Dependable. God, I love Barbon. A side note. Have you ever had a wedgie from a Marine? I got one, and I can tell you, it's no laughing matter. I practically had to get laser cutters to remove my undies from a crease. Ah well, I deserved it. Crud. Should not have taken them so lightly. But he hasn't done that in about 200 years. I think he realised I was not a whippersnapper after my second redo. Never had one since. But then, we did agree back then, at that point. Why? Because I could not be bothered to have a 5-hour sermon from him whenever I dropped the ball in those earlier years. So we agreed on non-lethal, or crippling for that matter, rebukes instead. Always in private, of course. And why? Because it only took a few hours to recover from those, meaning that, in the grand scheme of things, I would be about 3 hours up on the transaction. Perfect. Yes, I am an Inquisitor. Yes, I could have ordered Barbon to put his gun in his mouth and pull the trigger, and he would have done it. He swore an oath, and that man is steel. Not iron. Oh no, he is steel. He would have done it. Probably just to spite me, I think. But let's be honest. I made plenty of minor blunders back then. Nobody is perfect. Everyone learns every day. If you try to project perfection, never accept fault or error, then you are never going to gain the loyalty of your men and women. Without loyalty, an Inquisitor soon descends into paranoia. Never pretty. Paranoia and power should never, ever be married together in the one place. Ever. Back to the battle. Louis is angry, very. He smashes both of his hands down on top of Barbon's helmet before rolling backwards and landing hard on the ground. But he's not an idiot either, Louis. Barbon had backed away into cover before the Jacaro struck, nor would it do more than barely register with the Marine. But it would register. He let him know he was pissed off. Barbon does not turn, laying down fire that keeps them both safe for a period, but shrugs his shoulders. About as much of an apology as he is going to ever give to the Xenos. But it was there, the apology. I clocked it. Realizing that they are aiming at him, not Louis, Barbon rolls forward and bounds from cover to cover, bracken and bushes exploding in flames all around him as he moves. Lasers firing everywhere. The Scions are closing on him, but he is drawing fire away from Louis and, of course, our transport, with Ursula, Tarquinus and I still inside. Louis slams a strange metal cylinder onto his leg, but rolls on the floor in pain at it. The stench of burnt Jaquero hair permeates the entire region. A pong so retch-inducing it seems to overpower everything else. One of the downsides of working with a Jaquero, I guess. The pong. Even in battle. Ah well, moving on. As Barbon is looking like he's in deep water, despite Ursula twisting the heads off more than a few, 3 Scions fall with neat little pinpricks in their heads. Devrin is here. And from the fire now flying from behind the transport into our enemy, he has brought the friends I asked him to collect. But even so, even with the assistance from Devrin and his comrades, it isn't looking particularly clever out there. Time to move things along and test out the Tarquinus. I turn to him and bite off. Well? What? I'm shooting as best I can. You tit, says I, putting on my best sneer. What? He blurts, looking genuinely hurt. Aren't you a bloody psycho? What? You're a telepath. Order the Scions to throw down their weapons. Let's even the odds for our lads at least. But she said not to. Really? If they're just throwing down their weapons, then the battle is over, right? But she said not to. Not yet. You take orders from a senior Inquisitor, or your mommy. At that, I lean forward and flick his ear. It'll hurt, of course, but it's not to intimidate. It's to break him out of the cyclic navel gazing involved in weighing up his loyalty to his trainer against the word of his Inquisitor. Me. It works. He takes a rebuff and goes back to form. I thought that would end. Get on with it! Yep, sorry. At that, Tarquinus' eyes begin to look like they have lights behind them, like his head contains a star. He snaps his head up and is clearly not focusing with his vision as his pupils roll up into the back of his head. He's looking with his mind. He furrows his brow, starts to whisper about the Schola Progenium. He is connecting with them. He whispers. Who do they trust most? Then with a nod of his head, he has found it. His eyes burst with even more intensity. It is at this point that the Scions as one all seem to slow down, and then, like zombies, they drop their hotshot lasguns onto the forest floor. At this, I stand and bellow, "At them! Now! Charge!" And I pat Tarkonos on the back and gain his attention as his eyes lose their luminosity. Well done, Tarkonos. Well done! I whip my head around to see what is happening. Me between he and them. Tarquinus. I don't want him to see. Yep, as predicted, it's revenge time. Barbon loses not a second as he drops his bolter and draws out his power sword and is on them in a flash. The distance between them eaten with only 3 of his huge loping jumps. The forest bursts into life around him as a half-dozen or more catachans roar as they charge in, long knives out and a look of pure hatred on their faces. As they pass the transport, they are being led by Devrin. Hello, lad. The Scions are men of valour, some of the best shock troops humanity has to offer. But when they are caught in close by the catachans, they are soon ripped apart. Let alone what Barbon is doing to their central column. A loud growling, then a shout of anger comes from a bush, and out springs Louis on them. He takes 2 of the Scions that were furthest away, and his huge strength comes into play. You see, so many people look at the technical marvels that he or any of his kind create, and somehow commute the anti-intellectualism so rife in humanity, and think that he is bookish, hence weak. Louis grabs one of them and hurls them at a tree. The tree fares better than the back of the Scion from the crack that resounds around the clearing. He then bounds onto the next one, knocking him down, and then stands above him and pummeling down with his huge fists. blood fountaining up from his bare knuckles as he hits again and again. He keeps going until there is nothing left of the scion but a smear. Barbon has decapitated a score of them if one, when the last turn tail and run, but they are hunted down by the catachans like they were orcs. Poor sods. But there again, they started it. Tarkonos knows what has happened from his intervention. I hear him mutter a bit about it, but he does not confront me. Good. I'm in no mood to put up with his naivety at present. So I grab him and we walk to the clearing. Barbon has, as always, identified who the scions are. I watch him roll one over and check their tags, their iconography. He checks a few more before walking over to me to report. "Okay, so who sent them?" says I. "Local scions, a local enemy," says Barbon. "Gotcha. Thought he'd stay out of this. Ah, well. Let's watch ourselves. This was just a calling card." "A calling card?" says Tarquinus. "Yep, a message. The game is afoot." "Should we be worried?" "Oh, yes! But not for long. We'll soon be at the rendezvous point. Hopefully we'll get there." And so we end the day back on the transport. But this time, it is filled to the rafters. But then, this many catachans in a confined setting is always going to be olfactorily challenging. But Devlin has succeeded. He has what is left of his old regiment with him. Okay, that's less than a score of them now, but each and every one of them is a veteran. Each and every one of them has worked with us before. They know what to do. They know who we are going to try to take down. They witnessed his butchery. It was how I first met Devlin. And they are ready to help me hunt this bastard down. Oh, yes they are. Good. It is at this point my master turns to me and says those two words. Those two words I have come to dread. And out they come. "You tit." And now, a return to old form. As Thaddeus awaits more of his allies to arrive, the squad go on a gripping side quest. But it isn't going well. Because I feel Boy has had too easy a ride thus far. Okay, let's ignore the face smashing from Noise Marines. But either way, let's throw him through the ringer. Okay, we know that Tarkonos has dropped the ball, screwed the pooch, made a mess of things. But what has he done? And so, gentle listener, it is time for you to decide. What has our wayward junior Inquisitor done? It's voting time! Option 1. Exterminatus. Tarquinus has ordered an exterminatus without due cause. Very bad. As botches go, this is a fitical crumble, as we used to say. Or are things as they seem? Is the error even more dire? Or is Tarkonos actually right? An interesting situation. Option 2. Tarkonos has put the wrong person on trial. Accused the wrong person. Or so everyone believes. Can Thaddeus, or Tarkonos himself, get out of the situation he now finds himself in? That's option 2. Option 3. The nicest option, of course. Life's lessons. Tarkonos has to do something he really does not want to do. It comes to all Inquisitors sooner or later. A soul-searching moment. The order that is given for life or death. Not on the planetary scale, but on the personal. So please hit the comments section and put up your vote. Option 1. Exterminatus. Option 2. Trial. Or option 3. Life's lessons. Forge the narrative. You choose. And now, I must reveal why this entry is slightly shorter than usual. It is because on Saturday I have my debut as a games master in the live scenario. Ooh. Links will be in the description, but tomorrow, night time for anybody in Europe, and obviously daytime, 2 o'clock I believe, for anybody in the great United States of America or Canada, will be able to watch and hopefully have a good time as I take a bunch of players through a very strange, but I think a very exciting scenario. There's going to be a composite between role-playing and Total War. So please, if you have any ability to do so, do pop in and have a look. Now obviously I won't be able to interact with everyone while I'm there, because I'll be GMing. But if you could support me, I would be exceptionally grateful. Well, only 24 hours to go. My trousers are a little bit filling. So, wish me luck. And, as always, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.